bring on Broly. You know, he's part of PBC. We already ran it once with PBC. I need to get my get back. So I'm going to beat Broly, and we're going to have that.
The Ryan situation, I see that's the most tension. Is there real beef there, or is it just you want to get ahead and you see him as a guy that you sparred a lot and you feel you should be in that position?
No, I want to chop that kid's head off.
Why?
Ryan Garcia's fight with Isaac Cruz has been unexpectedly called off, and Rolando Raleigh Romero has stepped in as the new opponent for Garcia's next fight. The original matchup had fans excited, but it now seems that the boxing world is in for a twist, as the rematch with Haney looms large in Garcia's mind. Just recently, Turki Alalshik dropped a bombshell announcement, revealing that Garcia would now face Romero rather than Cruz. The announcement was met with a fair bit of surprise, as boxing enthusiasts tried to come to terms with a sudden change in plans. Alalshik further stirred the pot when he revealed a partnership with SNK Games, linking the upcoming fight to the video game Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. The event, which will be held in May 2025, promises to be a major spectacle for boxing fans, though exact details such as the venue and date are yet to be revealed. Despite facing a significant loss to Isaac Cruz in the past, Romero has rebounded and continues to train diligently in Las Vegas, preparing himself for whatever challenge arises next. His response to Garcia's challenge was nonchalant. He did not appear overly enthusiastic about the opportunity, even when pressed for thoughts about a potential rematch with Garcia. Romero gave little away, shrugging off the questions and emphasizing that it would be seen in time. His calm demeanor suggested he was prepared for whatever the future might hold.
Where?
He's a phony.
Yeah.
He's a phony. I don't like phonies. That's simple as that. I just don't like phonies.
Yeah.
So, you know, I keep it real with everybody, and he a phony.
What gives you that impression?
Express that.
Yeah.
From what I seen when I sparred him, and from what I've heard elsewhere, he's a phony.
Yeah.
He's a coward.
When asked about the physical toll boxing takes on him, Romero acknowledged the strain the sport has on a fighter's body, particularly in regard to the back issues he's had to manage over the years. Despite these challenges, he did not seem overly concerned, suggesting that he was confident in his ability to push through and keep fighting. On the subject of Oscar De La Hoya and his social media activity, Romero shared that De La Hoya had expressed admiration for him, but did not wish to engage in discussions about Garcia's calls for a fight. Romero maintained a detached perspective, making it clear that he wasn't overly invested in the chatter surrounding Garcia's comments.
Biggest, you know.
Oscar's here, man. You gonna talk to Oscar about it at all?
Oscar likes me a lot. Oscar likes me a lot.
Well, he was tweeting that he seemed to kind of ignore Ryan's request, and he's tweeting about the Haney fight still.
I don't know about anything like that. I don't really. I'm not too much into social media.
Later, when the interviewer asked him to compare how a fight with Garcia would differ from their previous sparring sessions as teenagers, Romero kept his thoughts vague. He remained confident, but did not reveal many specifics, keeping his cards close to his chest. His response was simple: "We will see." It was a typical Romero response, exuding an air of confidence that suggested he was ready for anything, but without giving too much away. He implied that his past experiences in the ring had taught him valuable lessons, and he was now looking forward to what was next, regardless of what form it might take.
We will see. We will see. We will see.
You got a smile. You think? Well, first of all, how's your back feeling, man? How's the health and everything?
You know, carrying boxing is very difficult.
Were you surprised that Ryan wound up wanting to come back your way, or did you kind of expect it?
I don't really have a reaction towards it. It's just, you know, it's just, you know, I'm the...
Before the fight was canceled, Ryan Garcia had been slated to fight Isaac Pitbull Cruz, a matchup that fans were eager to see. However, Cruz's team revealed that Cruz was hesitant to commit to a major fight against Garcia, given that he was already scheduled to fight another opponent in early February. Cruz felt that it would be bad luck to add another major fight to his plate at that moment. His advisor, Sean Gibbons, explained that Cruz would love to face Garcia, but the timing simply didn't feel right. The news of Cruz's withdrawal withdrawal surprised many, as Garcia had been vocal about his interest in facing Cruz, often mocking the smaller fighter for his size. Garcia had even suggested that Cruz would need to cut weight to meet him in the ring, offering to drop down to 144 pounds or even as low as 140 pounds to accommodate him. Garcia framed this as an opportunity for Cruz to prove himself, emphasizing his belief that Cruz was small and needed the chance to face a bigger opponent.
So Pitbull, because Pitbull's out.
Oh, I'll be 144. I'll be 144.
Is it okay, like, going to 140? I mean, like,
144. I'm just giving, like, he's small, man. I'm trying to give him something. You know? Fuck, like, I gotta give this motherfucker something.
Garcia didn't seem too disappointed by Cruz's withdrawal. In fact, he had already been looking ahead, confident in his ability to face any opponent that came his way. He pointed out that Cruz's knockout power and popularity made him a solid opponent after a long layoff. Despite any talk about easier matchups, Garcia wasn't interested in taking the safe route. He felt that facing a dangerous fighter like Cruz would be a true test, and he believed his skills would allow him to handle the challenge with ease. Garcia maintained that he had no doubts about his abilities and was determined to prove himself once more after the long hiatus.
So, like, I don't really know anybody that could be like, okay, after a year layoff, blah, blah, blah. So
he's very popular, he's very dangerous.
Exactly, yeah. He got knockout punching power, so it's not like like, you can't say, oh my God, what an easy fight. Like, you can't say that.
You could have done that, but yeah.
Yeah, I could have done that, but I didn't.
No safe.
No safe routes here. I'm confident that I got enough skills to do it, and yeah.
Garcia's eyes are also set on a potential rematch with Devin Haney, a fight that has been discussed in depth in recent months. Garcia pointed out that before their first bout, Haney was considered the favorite, but he was confident that he could repeat his previous success if given another shot. He mentioned that he was interested in seeing how Haney would perform in his upcoming fight against Ramirez, hoping that Haney would remain sharp for their eventual rematch. Garcia indicated that a second bout would be an opportunity to prove himself once more, and he wanted to face a Haney who was at his best. He also noted that Canelo had spoken to him about the rematch, telling him that it would be an easy fight for him.
Fight, it was the other way around.
It was 91, he was favorite.
Right. So I'm just ready to do what I did to him last time. I'm actually curious to see how he comes back in this fight in May against I think Ramirez is fighting.
On the other side.
You know, hopefully that he's still sharp and get my credit for beating him a second time.
What did Canelo tell you in London?
On the other side of the equation, Devin Haney himself was confident about the possibility of a rematch with Garcia. Haney stated that he had unfinished business with Garcia and that a rematch was a priority for him. He stressed that the fight needed to happen sooner rather than later, as there was clearly a demand for it among fans and pundits. Haney seemed pleased that Garcia was also eager to make the fight happen, suggesting that both fighters were motivated and focused on settling their differences inside the ring.
I mean, it feels great because at the end of the day, that's a priority for me. There's a lot of unfinished business in that fight, so that's a fight that I think that has to happen sooner or later. And so I'm happy that he wants to make that fight happen. He wants to see that fight, and yeah.
While Haney was vocal about his desire for a rematch, he also took a pragmatic approach when discussing the backlash from social media. He acknowledged that it could be frustrating to deal with both positive and negative comments, but he maintained that the most important thing was that people were still talking about him. He found it more troubling when people were silent or indifferent, so he chose to embrace the conversation, whether it was in his favor or not. Haney's perspective on social media was one of indifference, as he saw the constant chatter as a part of the landscape that came with being a top-tier fighter.
Devin, has it been frustrating on your end to kind of deal with all the backlash from social media? And that, I mean, it's got to feel heavy sometimes to have to deal with that. At the end of the day, you're just a human being.
No, I'll take the good with the bad at the end of the day. You know, if they talking good, they talking bad, it just matters that they talking. You know, my concern is when they're not talking, when they're silent, when they're not saying nothing. So I let them talk.
Shakur Stevenson was asked about Haney's return to the ring in March. While Stevenson did not seem overly excited, he did express interest in seeing how Haney would bounce back from what he described as a traumatic experience. Stevenson acknowledged Haney's mental toughness and believed that Haney's potential success in a rematch against Garcia would depend on how he handled the psychological aspect of his comeback. Stevenson noted that if Haney could mentally recover and return to the form that made him a dominant force in the lightweight division, he could be a formidable opponent for Garcia.
We spoke to Devin Haney as well on Fight Hub yesterday, and he mentioned how he's going to be back in March. Are you excited to see him back as someone in and around your division, to be back fighting healthy again?
I think excited is like a strong word, but I'm interested. I want to see how he handles that traumatic experience that he went through and see how he bounced back from it. So, yeah.
Do you think he wins a rematch against Ryan Garcia? How do you think that fight would play out if they were to fight again with obviously no drugs involved this time?
I know he's strong mentally, so he can win for sure, but it all depends on how he's feeling after he gets back. Is he the same fighter?
Showbiz the Adult weighed in on Ryan Garcia's first fight with Devin Haney, describing it as a matchup problem for Garcia. According to Showbiz, Ryan looked far from his best in that fight, yet every time he threw a solid punch, he managed to drop Haney 5 times, even though he wasn't fully committed to his shots. Showbiz emphasized that Ryan was clearly the superior fighter, noting that he was taken aback by how easily he was able to drop Devin multiple times.
I remember the fight vividly. Ryan knocked that guy down about 5 times. Okay, that's 1. 2, he shouldn't even had a point deducted. That was ridiculous. And in that fight, the rounds that Ryan Garcia lost, he wasn't even punching. He was out of shape. That was the worst I've ever seen him look. And every time Ryan got a second win, anytime he just decided to fight, like, all right, let's go, bam, bam, through his hands, he dropped it. That's when I knew it was a matchup problem. Ryan Garcia looked nervous until he threw the left hook.
Despite coming into the fight underprepared, Garcia still performed impressively and dominated Haney. Showbiz remarked that Ryan quickly realized in the ring that he was the better fighter, and it was evident that Devin was devastated by the loss. He went on to advise Haney that he would need to train much harder for a potential rematch if he hoped to avoid repeating the same mistakes from the first encounter.
Ryan knew that he wasn't prepared for that fight. When he jumped and hopped over him, he was as excited and shocked as everybody else. Whoa! And he jumped back. It's like, yo, I'm just better than him. And that's when you knew, okay, Haney, you got to train to Ryan. Victory defeated you. Things you were able to get away with against these other guys, you can't with Ryan. He just physically, he can match you physically. So now you got to add an extra wrinkle and you got to be safer.
However, Mikey Garcia was more critical of Haney's focus in the aftermath of their initial fight. He suggested that Haney should drop the legal matters surrounding their dispute and focus on getting back in the ring. He believed that Haney needed to prove that he could move forward and that waiting too long to schedule a fight would only hurt his career. Garcia stressed that while the fans would remember the controversy surrounding the first fight with Garcia, it would ultimately be forgotten if Haney didn't come back strong. He urged Haney to take a fight, get a victory, and build momentum for bigger matchups down the road, including a possible rematch or a fight against Tank Davis. Garcia's advice to Haney was simple: get back to what matters most, fighting in the ring.
I think Devin Haney should just drop all this allegations and get back in the ring. He should have already fought by now or had scheduled something and show everybody that he can come back. You know, he had the fight with Ryan early in the year, and due to certain circumstances, it's as if the fight never happened. The fans will remember, the fans and the analysts will remember what happened, but on record, it's as if it didn't happen. So get back in the ring, come back, get another victory, and then move on to bigger fights, and maybe rematch if you really are upset. Yeah. Take a rematch, or call for the rematch, or fight someone else. Yeah. Maybe you call for a Tank fight, or someone else like that. Yeah. Stop with the legalities and move on. Yeah. I think getting into these legalities don't seem good for you, for his career.
Garcia also offered advice to Ryan, suggesting that he focus on returning to professional boxing rather than engaging in exhibition matches during his suspension. While Garcia understood the financial appeal of exhibitions, he emphasized that Garcia should concentrate on getting back to competitive outs. He urged Garcia to stop the theatrics and focus on a real fight, one that the fans wanted to see. Garcia pointed out that after making substantial money in the past, Garcia should now look to rebuild his reputation and face top-tier fighters in legitimate world-class bouts. According to Garcia, that would be far more respectable than continuing with exhibition matches against unknown opponents.
Now Ryan is obviously suspended for a time, and he's trying to maybe do this exhibition match or whatever. I'd say, you know what, I'd say hold out, forget it, wait for your time, and go and get back in the ring as soon as you can. In a real match.
Is this Ryan you're talking about?
Ryan, yes, Ryan. Start working out again, train, and prepare yourself. Schedule a fight the day after the suspension. Try to schedule a fight so that the day after suspension you're back in the ring in a real boxing match. doing all this theatrics and exhibition or whatever, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. I doubt that you're doing it for the money. I don't think he's doing it for the money. He's made a lot of money. He's making a lot of money. I think he should just get back in the ring, train, find a opponent or a champion that you can fight on your first fight back, and move on. Let's go. Because he's got it. He's got the size for it. He's got the skill, the strength, the power. So forget about these exhibitions, bro. You're not retired. You don't need to be doing that. You know, you can be fighting, world champions. You know, and I think that's more respectable, more admirable, more respected if you do fight the fights that we want to see as fight fans. More than an exhibition against, I don't even know who,
Lamont Roach Jr. also chimed in, expressing little interest in Ryan Garcia. Roach dismissed Garcia's previous fight with Haney, suggesting that Garcia was on performance-enhancing drugs during their encounter. Roach made it clear that he had little concern for Garcia, and was much more focused on the potential success of Devin Haney, who he hoped would return to the ring stronger than ever.
I don't know. I don't know, but the first fight, Ryan was on PD, so I don't really care too much for him. He's, personally, I don't care too much for Ryan. He a racist. He take performance enhancement drugs, so I could give a fuck less about Ryan. I hope Devin Haney win. I hope he, I hope he really do get that back. But other than that, I don't really care too much about Ryan.
Oscar De La Hoya, the promoter behind Ryan Garcia, also shared his thoughts on a potential rematch between Garcia and Haney. De La Hoya indicated that Garcia's performance in their first bout had not necessarily earned him an immediate rematch. He suggested that Garcia might need a tune-up fight before stepping back into the ring with Haney. De La Hoya pointed to upcoming contenders like Teofimo Lopez or Boots Ennis as potential opponents for Garcia once he had regained his rhythm in the ring. Though De La Hoya acknowledged Haney's desire for a rematch, he seemed more focused on matching Garcia against top challengers after his return.
The way Ryan Garcia handled Devin Haney, to me personally, doesn't call for a rematch. Once Ryan gets back in action, once Ryan gets back in rhythm, and maybe has a tune-up fight, possibly in late April or maybe early May, then I want to throw him in there with the very best. And I'm thinking top of my head, Teofimo Lopez or even Boots Ennis or whoever the very best is. And we still have Devin Haney who is wanting that rematch against Ryan Garcia. The way Ryan Garcia handled Devin Haney, to me personally, doesn't call for a rematch, but who knows, the back and forth is pretty intense.
As the boxing world continues to turn, the future for both Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney remains in flux. Fans are eagerly awaiting the next chapter in their rivalry, while both fighters are focused on navigating their individual paths back to the top. Only time will tell whether the rematch will come to fruition, but one thing is certain, the stakes are higher than ever. So what are your thoughts about this? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.